Stuck in procrastination? I used to be too, until I discovered the 3 stages that allowed me to break free.
This took me years to figure out. Over 100 self-help books, a ton of trial and error, and hundreds of pounds on courses. Finally, I discovered the techniques to end procrastination and also make me a lot happier in the process. So we are going to look at the sneaky lie, guardrails, and leaving the battle behind. Now, a quick disclaimer, this is just what worked for me. Use what works for you and leave the rest. So first, we need to look at the sneaky little lie that keeps us stuck. So Bob has an essay due in 2 weeks and he wants to get started today. But when he sits down to work, he's not really feeling it right now. So he says, I'm gonna get started after watching 1 YouTube video, maybe on procrastination. Famous last words. 1 video turns to 2, then 3, then he ends up spending the whole night watching YouTube. He tells himself he's gonna start tomorrow, but finds he does the exact same thing again. On and on this goes for 2 whole weeks until he finally gets the day before the exam's due, word vomits out a bunch of stuff and hands it in. Did you catch the lie? Bob keeps telling himself, I'll start in 10 minutes, I'll start after this video, I'll do it tomorrow, but let's be real. Bob's not deciding to start later, he's deciding not to do it. Because here's the thing, you can only act in one place, right now. In 10 minutes, it's still going to be right now. You can only act from this one point, and that point is now. So every time Bob says, I'll do it later, what he's really saying is, I'm not doing it. And on some level, we know this isn't true. That's why procrastination doesn't feel good, because we're lying to ourselves and saying we're going to start, when really we know we're just not doing it. And here's the kicker, only when you can accept what you're actually doing can you change it. So the first step is simple. Be honest with yourself. Accept the choices that you are making. And here's the great part. See, this actually reduces guilt. It doesn't increase it. If you consciously decide not to do something, you're not procrastinating. You're choosing to do something different. And when you own that choice, you start to take back control. So leave the I'm going to do it and make a conscious choice of either doing it or not. As Yoda said, do or do not, there is no try. So you've accepted the truth. You're being honest with yourself, but still you can find it ridiculously hard to start. Why? Well, imagine trying to climb a mountain path, but there's loads of massive boulders in the way. This is what most people do when they try and beat procrastination. They just try and power through without thinking about how can you make the path easier. This is why willpower alone isn't enough. You need guardrails. So think about this. Imagine walking into a room and there's a huge TV, there's a massive couch there with a bunch of your friends on it, there's a bunch of snacks and beers kicking around, and your favorite episode, the finale of your favorite TV show, is on. Sounds pretty great, right? But here's the problem. You came into this room to work out. What do you think are the chances of you being able to do that in this situation? Basically, 0. If your environment is designed for anything other than what you need to do, it's going to distract you and pull you in a different direction. So what you need to do is set up your environment to make it as easy as possible to get to work. So for example, for me, I have a PlayStation, but it's unplugged in a different room so that when I sit down to work, I don't have to battle with that temptation to play it. So you need to look around your environment and think, what is this environment pointing towards? The more your environment points you to where you actually want to go, the easier it is to sit down and work. So remove the obstacles, make it easy. But this doesn't just apply to your environment. So picture this, you've got your environment set up and you've managed to sit down to work. Great, but you find yourself asking a question. Where do I start? You stare at the screen, pick up your phone, and 10 minutes later, you find you're procrastinating again. This happened to me constantly. I block out time to work and quickly realize I didn't really know what to do. So rather than doing the hard thing of figuring it out, I do the easy thing. Grab my phone, go get a snack, whatever it may be, but I would just avoid doing the work because I didn't know where to start. This is because uncertainty can be crippling. If you don't have a clear path to walk, it's really difficult to even start. You'll find yourself finding any possibility to escape. So what we need to do is create a clear, structured path for us to follow. So how do you actually do this? Simple. You break it down into ridiculously small and clear steps. So rather than saying something vague like write an essay, you might have something like sit down, open your laptop, open Word, write one sentence, brain dump for 3 minutes, pull out the key point, and refine. That takes it from being something unclear to something very simple and actionable. And here's the great part. Once you start, momentum kicks in. As soon as you get those first few steps going, you've already beaten procrastination and you get into the flow. Now, when it comes to how much you should aim to do in any sort of work session, a lot of the advice out there says basically make it as small as possible. I disagree with this. There's a really famous story about Jerry Seinfeld, one of the most successful comedians of all time. What he talks about is that a lot of his success came down to this one simple habit. He made a commitment to write one joke every single day, and to keep himself accountable, he would mark a big X on his calendar. This became known as the Seinfeld strategy. Don't break the chain, just keep showing up day after day. But here's the key. He didn't just say write one word a day. That wouldn't have built anything meaningful. Instead, he said write one joke, because this would build into something over time. And that's what made it motivating. It wasn't overwhelming, but it also wasn't pointless. Every time I've tried this like start small, do one push-up advice, it has got me started, but I've only kept it up for 2 or 3 days. It just doesn't feel worthwhile enough. It's not going anywhere. So you need to find the sweet spot. Not one push-up, maybe a 5-minute workout. Not one sentence or one word, maybe a short paragraph. Small enough to start with minimal effort, but big enough to actually feel a sense of progress. So to recap, make your environment work for you, break tasks down into small, simple steps, and make sure that the amount you're doing is small, but also meaningful.
Also, read Atomic Habits by James Clear. So much of what I learned about Guardrails came from that book.
Of everything I've read, this is by far the best on habit building. Now here's the thing, you can follow all of the advice so far and it will help a lot. But if you really want to take this to the next level and overcome procrastination and make the process smoother and more enjoyable, then you need to understand this. So I want you to imagine you're in a tug of war with yourself. On the one side, you've got the part of you that doesn't want to do the thing. On the other side, you've got the part of you that does want to do the thing. And all of the advice we've talked about so far is really about trying to basically make you win that battle. How can you make the resistance less and the strength to do it more? But here's the thing. What if there was another way to approach this? What if you could, rather than struggle with the rope, drop it entirely? Here's the thing. Resistance isn't the problem. It's how we react to it. Picture walking along a riverbank and there's all these boats going past, and these are your thoughts and your emotions.
Now, when resistance comes up, what usually happens is we automatically attach ourselves to it and get pulled along for the ride.
Here you either have to just follow the boat in the direction it's going, or you have to struggle and fight the current to move upstream. So how can we avoid this? Well, the key here is to become present. When you're present, you can simply notice these, observe them, and continue walking on. This is how you really break procrastination. By being aware, whenever resistance comes up, you stop yourself from automatically engaging with it. You have a gap where you get to choose how you respond rather than unconsciously react. So that's the secret. Just don't react. Sounds pretty simple, but actually, if you've tried this before, you find this can be incredibly difficult. So we're going back to Bob. Bob hears about this concept of awareness and he's excited to try it. He sits down to work. As soon as the resistance hits, he gets sucked right into it. He feels frustrated, overwhelmed, and ends up procrastinating even more than before. That didn't work, he thinks. What's the deal here? Now let's take Daisy. She starts practicing awareness throughout her day. Whether she's eating lunch, watching TV, or simply walking around, every time she catches herself slipping into this autopilot mode and reacting to things, she pauses and simply notices what's happening. Over time, she builds this muscle up so that when resistance does come up, she's able to step back, notice it, and keep moving forward without getting caught up in it. So how can you be like Daisy? First, let's clear up a common misunderstanding. Awareness is not about trying to ignore your emotions, not feeling your emotions, pretending they're not there, and it's not about trying to stop your thoughts either. Awareness is simply noticing what's going on inside you, around you, without judgment or trying to change it.
With that out of the way, here's 4 simple steps to get started. 1. Senses. Start to notice your senses more. Pay more attention to what you're seeing, smelling, hearing, tasting, and touching. This all helps bring you more into awareness. 2. Cast your attention wide. So oftentimes we're focused on one specific thing, and what you want to do here is focus on your broader field of view. And you can try this right now. You're probably focused on me, now notice everything else in the room around you. 3. Mindful actions. So as you're going about your day, start to notice and pay attention to the actions that you're performing. If you're picking up a pen, focus on the movement and how that feels in your body. When you're washing the dishes, pay attention to how the water feels and the sensations in your hands. The more attention you bring to what you're actually doing, the more present you become. 4. Focus on your breath. So take a big inhalation in, then as you exhale, relax, and let go of any tension. You can repeat this as many times as you like. Folding this into your day will bring more presence into your life. Now, if you want a deeper guide on this, I've created a free workbook that takes you through 5 exercises to really bring you into awareness and make the process easier. Link in the description. Also, I highly recommend Eckhart Tolle, who knows, Eckhart's great book, The Power of Now, is a great introduction to this concept.
And over time, this will help you break the cycle of mindlessly reacting to what's going on around you. And it puts you in a position where when things come up, you have this distance, you have this gap where you can choose how you respond rather than old habits dictating for you how you're going to react. Creating this space is what ultimately got rid of procrastination for me. All the other tactics really helped and they were so essential on that journey, but this is what it really came down to, the ability to have that distance and make a clear choice. But it didn't just do that. As you go more into this and as you become more aware, you find yourself more and more in this state of natural peace and contentment. And you find that this is actually always there. We're just too caught up in our own thoughts and our own emotions to notice it.